It's hard to stand out in the indie space these days. There are so many brilliant ideas in a crowded market that finding that spark can be truly difficult. But I think I found something special with KidBash Super Legend. Now, first and foremost, I should mention that while this is a sponsored video, the developers at Authentic Remixes, Fat Raccoon, and Niji Games are actually fans of what we do here at Good Vibes Gaming and contracted us through our sponsored tier on Patreon. Normally that would mean a short advertisement throughout the month on the GVG cast, but many of us on the team were already interested in the game, and so we decided to give them a dedicated video showing it off. So with all that business stuff out of the way, why should you pay attention to KidBash Super Legend? The game casts you as the titular KidBash, who finds himself waking up on the outskirts of Mandela Village, where a sky pirate by the name of Snatcher is laying waste. After rescuing a young farmer named Jim, KidBash finds himself with aspirations of becoming a hero, only for that dream to immediately face difficulties when fighting Snatcher. While the village is mostly destroyed, Snatcher is driven away by the already established hero Hana-chan. Now, KidBash must make his way to Rogue Mountain, where Hana-chan's master awaits, keeping all the villains of the land in check. And while it wasn't shown in the demo I played, KidBash eventually learns that the legendary master, Tao Shenlong, has disappeared, which explains the villains on the loose. It's a charming tale with just a smidge of referential humor, but there seems to be far more to it than this, according to the developers. This is a world where forgotten characters find themselves, and evidence of this idea can be found in the glitching KidBash experiences from time to time. While that definitely adds an air of mystery to the game, it's the gameplay that really impressed me. From the start, KidBash can double jump, wall jump, dash, and wield 2 different weapons at a time. There's an inherent floatiness to how KidBash moves, but the controls are already incredibly responsive. He just hangs in the air a little longer than I expected, adding to the bounciness of the world. The weapons, at least the ones available in the demo so far, were an arm cannon, a sword, and endless bombs, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. The arm cannon is the weakest, but it has the greatest range and can be easily aimed. This is in stark contrast to the bombs, which do the most damage and can be angled in different ways. However, they're still the trickiest to hit enemies with. Finally, the sword is the standard close-range weapon with medium damage, a good all-around option. What makes them far more unique is the ability to combine any 2 weapons for a limited time. For example, the sword and bomb will combine into an exploding axe with a throw arc much like classic Castlevania. Or the bomb and arm cannon will combine into an exploding shuriken. But I suppose I should mention that KidBash is indeed a roguelite, and while hallmarks are present, I found there were still plenty of unique elements. On the way to a rematch with Snatcher, I could choose 7 stages beforehand, each with their own rewards and purpose. There tended to be 3 different options, varying from single-screen stages where hordes of enemies must be defeated, a platforming challenge where I lost if I fell into a pit, or simply reaching the end of a standard stage. Each time is different, and planning the route through the stages is part of the strategy. Upon completing these levels, a reward would be given for the run, ranging from adding elemental damage to KidBash's jumps and dashes, to increasing the potency of his weapons, to getting a bonus of coins or building blocks. The coins could then be spent at outposts along the path to Snatcher for other weapons with different modifications. For example, I could have a bomb that had a higher chance of getting critical hits or do more damage from those criticals, or wield a sword that would also send out a fireball with each swing. The speed at which the weapons could be used could also increase, and this is quite obviously only a small selection of what will eventually be available, as I saw multiple categories that I simply didn't choose for my run. But best of all is that these modifications would be combined along with the weapons whenever that skill was activated, adding just a little more strategy to certain situations. Meanwhile, the building blocks that KidBash can collect tie back to Mandela Village, as they're used to rebuild the town. And while only one option was available in the demo, it showed the way this would be helpful. I rebuilt Fisher Joe's house, and he gave a permanent badge that would occasionally have defeated enemies drop fish for a small health restore. Again, it's only a small taste of what will be in the full game, but the developers promise that the village provides more than just upgrades. KidBash's character development is tied to how much he helps the people. It ended up being one of those demos that I wish was just a little bit longer because everything I saw was charming and fun. The music is quite catchy, the character designs are adorable, and everything has a classic feel despite the modern visuals. I want to see what other weapons are in store, what other combinations I can discover, and generally get better at the game. It's immediately apparent that this will be one of those games that feels amazing once you get the controls down. Jumping over enemies just enough to damage them with added elemental bonuses, dashing through oncoming attacks using the invincibility, and counterattacking aggressively will help immensely, but I only just started doing that toward the end of my second run. Even still, using those techniques more helped make that second attempt go much more smoothly. KidBash ends up pulling off the base gameplay feel of Mega Man X thanks to his movement options, while adding other games the devs obviously love, and even shouted them out in their descriptions. The weapon combinations take after Kirby 64, while Digimon World on the PlayStation served as the inspiration for rebuilding the village. Even going beyond the fact that this is a sponsored video, I had a really good time with KidBash Super Legend, and if it interests you at all, make sure to wishlist the game on Steam. It helps out the devs a ton, and could lead to even more people discovering this promising indie when it releases in 2025. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure to let us know in the comments what you think of KidBash so far. Will you be keeping an eye on it for next year? And if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to Good Vibes Gaming, hitting the like button, and ringing that bell. We also have a Patreon at patreon.com/gvgaming with plenty of extra perks. Until next time, bye!